Hey everyone, John Doyle from Optics. Alongside me is Donald Harris, also of Optics and of Clocker fame with Toby Terrell and all the great work they put out. We did the Holy Bull together, Donald. We're back for the Florida Derby. We're going to do the video analysis of this race. And this is another contentious race, one of the more contentious races so far, I think, on the Derby Trail.
Agreed. It's a lot of fun because the main contenders, it really forces you to kind of get into the nuance of how a race unfolds because it's tough to separate them.
Yeah, so we're looking at the plot right now. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so people could see. So you can see it's a red plot fit because you can see quadrant 1 is empty. It's just got no horses, which is kind of a rare plot. So, that's really part of the reason. And you would notice that the speed horses like the 2, 6, 7, the 5, pretty much kind of look like they're plotted in the same place. Like, well, at least the 2, 6, and 7 are, Q3 squares, Donald. So it looks like they look like the speed of the race. And the reason I think they're down in quadrant 3, and we'll look at it when we go through, some of the past performances, but they've been getting easy leads in soft-paced races. That's what basically, what they've been doing. So them all being in a race together, something's got to change, right? Something's kind of got to give, don't you think?
Yeah, I think before we got on this recorder, I was mentioning tactically, this is a rider's race, I think, in that first furlong, depending on who's aggressive. And we know that the most aggressive rider on Gulfstream track usually wins. So I'm curious what Saez does out of the gate. And then, we'll talk about it later, the talent that the 2 has just pop in the gate. So that'll be interesting.
He's like spring. So what we did was we kind of laid out, and let me see if I can pull this up here. Kind of our tier 1, tier 2, and tosses, right? So we're not going to go through the tosses. That's the 4, 8, and 10. Donald and I see the race, basically the same as far as tier 1, tier 2 horses, but we may differ on each of these horses individually, but that's kind of the feel. So we're going to start with the tier 1 runners. We'll go through their past performance and then hit the tier 2 horses. And you can see that the 2, 6, and 7 are all part of that early pace. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all unfolds. So let's get to it, my man. We're going to start with the number 2. And this is Classic Causeway. This is the horse that's been running in Tampa. In fact, Donald, I was a little surprised to see this horse here. I guess it's just too long, maybe, between now and the Derby. But I think he's got enough points to get there. I think he's like 3rd on the list right now. So I don't see him, with only like 3 prep races left, going anywhere. He may drop down, but he's made the race. So it's interesting to see him here, especially off just 21 days. So I thought that was curious. The 2 races in Tampa, he just pops out of the gate. He's just like, he's a really good gate horse. So he's been able to establish pretty easy leads. And I was a little surprised our number came back as low as it did in the Tampa Derby. I know there's been other numbers that maybe have it a little higher, but he's got to make the transition to Gulfstream. So it'll be interesting to see. He's gonna have to deal with the Pletcher horse probably early. So any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think those 2 most recent comments, that pop could be the key to the whole race, right?
Yeah.
If he has a decided advantage in those first few strides, maybe he forces some other riders to get passive, and when that happens, all of a sudden a race shape completely changes. So that will be it'll be I'm going to say interesting again to see how that unfolds if he pops the gate again.
And he's coming back in his shortest time frame. I don't know what you think about those things, Donald. I know you watch. Donald's a professional clocker. I don't know what your thought is on horses. Time between races and stuff like that.
Most of the time you won't actually see the results of that until a horse doesn't fire. Because I've found that in the mornings they can cheat. Most of these horses have such a high cruising speed. That's why they're running at this level anyway. So like Classic Causeway, the last drill was a half mile, like 47-2. It's at the track where I am, Palm Meadows, and did it real easy in company. So there's nothing from that half mile where I go, this horse is is overworked or is about ready to bounce.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, like he's probably, obviously one of the contenders, maybe the top contender. But my concerns is the low number, the turnaround. So I wouldn't take it too short of a price on it. I really made it, and I'm going to send out a report to everybody. I mean, I'll put it up on our website, kind of the focus report. And I really had a difficult time with a morning line here, or not a morning line, but an odds line, a fair odds line. And I just wouldn't take too short a price. I mean, I'm just so confused in this race with these 4 horses that I made him almost like 4-1. I made him the
Yeah, if I choose, I was gonna say if I choose to play the race, I'm gonna try and beat him.
Yeah. So the other horses, and I'm gonna just jump to the other horse because that I think is going to be the most contention and speed with the two. And that's Charge It, the Todd Pletcher horse, who just broke his maiden, got an easy lead in the maiden race, but looked real good. He's really big. He's got a long stride too. It just seems like he's definitely got potential. But this is a big jump up. But I think they're going to be aggressive with him, obviously, because that seems like the way he runs. But I don't know if he gets out of the gate as fast as the two. So he's going to be in chase mode, in my opinion.
Yeah, that Saez being on this horse, I have to think they're going to be super aggressive out of the gate. I think they want the lead. Watching him train on XBTV, he's just one of those standout types where everything he does is flashy. So if he does happen to get the lead, I think he wins just because of the raw talent. When a horse like that gets his trip, there's that kind of rhythm you can find. And you don't have to be, to me, that doesn't show class. It just shows the natural athleticism of a horse that's in a high cruising speed, and he can win the race. And I'd still have question marks coming out of it. And if he ends up tracking Classic Causeway, that you're going to learn a lot more about in that sense if he tracks rather than getting to the lead.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But I do expect Saez to be really aggressive out of the gate. So
you kind of like this horse, I can tell.
Yeah, I think he's really from the XB stuff that I've watched over a couple months. He's kind of a standout type in the mornings. And just look on our numbers. Obviously it's a maiden race. He got an easy lead. It's a big deal, but still, he had a 93 in his debut, and then he got a 99 with the B+ that you gave him on the visual. So, he's the fastest horse in the race, actually, even though he's just broke his maiden. So it'll be interesting to see. He gets really tested for class, and we will learn a lot about him. But sounds like a horse that's got a lot of talent and is. It may be a value in this race. It all depends. They played a bunch of horses. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how he's played because, like you said, I could not take a short number based on. What would be a fair value for you thinking here for this horse? Wow, that's such a great question. I probably won't know until race day. I guess $8. Okay, 3-1. Yeah, but see, that's the thing is I will rarely ever bet a 3-1 shot. It's just not kind of in my. But you might key him. But that feels appropriate for this race, I think. Yeah. But I'm just saying he may be a good key in exotics too, especially if you can make a case against somebody else finishing second, or you can get somebody in for third or whatever. Right. You'll get value in the exotics, even though you might not get it in the win pool. The other horse that, is kind of a main contender, and, this is our buddy Simplification, who won ran well in the Holy Bull despite like a slow start. And I thought that race was hard on him, but he kind of said to me, no, not think so, come back. And he won the Fountain of Youth which was a crazy race. It just was a dirtied up race. It was just like lots of issues. He was in traffic. And he ran really well. I don't know if there's like another move forward for this horse. I'm not sure. I'm not sure he gets better with distance. But he's done nothing wrong. I don't know what it is about him that I'm just not. I think you might be higher on him than I am. I'm similar in terms of I don't believe he's a horse that gets better with distance. But like you say, it's hard to really knock him because he just keeps showing up and running nice races. I believe that no lead always kind of puts something in the back of your mind when it comes to distance. When a horse is finishing on the wrong lead, you're like, is he really finding his best rhythm in that final 16th? And now he has to tackle more ground. The one drill I saw on XB, it's not going to really tell us much. It just showed his tenacity, because I don't think it was planned. I think it was March 19th drill. It was like 101 and 4. And a horse jumped in right in front of him in that quarter pole from another barn. And he kind of tracked him to the wire, and then the rider set him down going out. And he kind of determinedly ran by this horse that was just getting into a 3 furlong drill. So it kind of showed his grittiness. But it's a horse I would be trying to beat in this spot, just based on extra distance. And
yeah, he's shown he's can overcome trouble. Distance is a big thing. I don't know if he's like got a kind of like another, maybe he does have another move forward. I don't know.
I mean, he's a nice horse. I'm still of the belief that he's a mile type.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, mile types can still run big races outside of the mile, you know?
Sure.
So
especially a Gulfstream, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. That track carries.
Yeah.
Carry you.
White Abarrio, this is the horse that we picked for the in the Holy Bull. Actually, he won. That was good. But he got a perfect trip. He stalked that Mott horse, which was surprising because we thought Simplification might be on the lead, but he didn't get.
Yeah, I think Simplification broke slowly, I think, and that changed the dynamics there.
And he had that Mott horse who's done really nothing, you know, since. Well, I mean, I guess he ran 4th or 5th in the Louisiana Derby. He's not a bad horse. You know, we think probably better on turf. I think, you know.
Yeah, just a notch below the top.
Yeah, he's a notch below. But, you know, he got a perfect trip. It's like, you know, it seems like when he gets a perfect trip, he delivers, you know, he can get it done. I'm not sure if he's going to get like a perfect trip, you know, with the introduction of the Pletcher horse and you know, the favorite, you know, who's going to be the favorite, Causeway. I don't know. I just think this is a different kind of trip. He's not going to be chasing the same horse that he was last time. And I could see him backing up a little bit off that Holy Bull effort.
Yeah, he's a horse I'm struggling with because initially, you know, off of that perfect trip, I just thought he was going to be a bet against wherever he showed up. But there's something about, I saw one of his drills on XB, and there's an IQ there that I think there's a racing IQ that I didn't quite see initially. And he tracked the horse. He did it really smartly. It felt like there was some intelligence there in terms of the horse really knowing what he's doing with the way he relaxed, listened to the rider's hands in the stretch. And that's kind of what you want to see as you get to these classier competition. And obviously with his race record, he loves Gulfstream Park. And that's always a pretty big advantage.
And the good thing about him is, I guess, he's drawn outside the other 2 speeds, so he can kind of, you know, decide what he wants to do into the first turn. You know,
the pace dynamics of this race will probably be a tester, though, because
what I'm worried about is him getting caught wide, because I think the 5, even though he's not a main contender, might be more part of the pace in this race than he has been. You know, because his last race he didn't do anything, but I think he might be more aggressive, and I think that might. I'm just worried he gets kind of caught wide in that first turn, you know, stalking or whatever he's doing, or he has to drop back and take some dirt, and that's just a concern I have with him. But yeah, I mean, he's really done, again, another horse that's done nothing wrong. His career has only just improved, and you know, he looks talented. But again, it's just like it's going to just come down to what price you're willing to take on the horse.
Agreed.
The one horse, Donald, I was a little interested in was the 1, and I'm going to show you. If I kind of see him on the plot. Plot's in like quadrant 2 square. I think this horse, if he doesn't, like we know by following Gulfstream all the time, I know you do the notes, is sometimes the track, it could get really loose and cuppy, and you can get that kickback, which could really kill horses that are behind the front runners. And this horse will be behind the first flight and probably be, I'm thinking he could sit in a mid-pack type of trip. Even though in last race he got off slow, he kind of got rushed a little bit, got in traffic, and then he got caught wide the whole race, and in the Sam Davis, which was against the, you know, the 2, when the 2 won that race. I think this horse ran better than that looked in that race, and he's got numbers that kind of fit. The 2 back he ran against, what's our buddy there, Simplification and Mucho Macho Man. And I thought he ran a good race. I thought he was kind of a little bit compromised that trip, and Simplification got kind of an easy lead and kicked home, but he kicked right behind him. and he looked like a horse that would like more ground. I just think, when he's 20-1 in the morning line, I think I think if you get anywhere near 10-1 or better, he's value in the exotics and maybe even in the win spot. I think this is a talented horse. He's fast enough. And if things just kind of get contentious on the front end, maybe you can slip, do one of those inside out trips, get out there and, run them down late. So I think it's a horse that's got some look.
Yeah, I had just kind of skipped him in my initial run through, and I'm more interested now that you mention him. I guess the one thing now that I look at his running lines, it does stand out that he's got that no lead a few times, and his two, I guess, questionable races were at the longer distances at the 8.5. So that would be something. But of course, when you're getting a price, you're going to have to. There's going to be a few things you can knock. So maybe he's coming into his own. So I love the price. And
I looked at that too. The first 2-turn race was, he broke his maiden, they put him in a grade 3. I thought that was a little bit of an aggressive move. So I could kind of forgive him. He was a 2-year-old then. He still ran okay. He was wide that race. And you could say his both races at 2 turns, he was kind of got wide trips. He's not going to be wide, probably, unless they do something crazy. He should be able to save ground, I think. And like I said, at 20-1, I think he's definitely exotic value at minimum.
He's never not fired over the Gulfstream Park surface.
That's the other thing. I think he's a horse for course to some extent. Yeah, that's a good point. I actually noted that too. Thanks for reminding me. So I thought that guy was a contender. So that's the main contenders for us. Let's just look at a couple others, Donald. I thought that might be interesting. Start with the 5. I don't know what to do with this horse. I just think he might, he looked like he was okay. He was running, as a 2-year-old, and he won the best pal. Looked like he was improving. It just, and maybe you forgive his first race back was the Lecomte, saved ground. He ran okay, okay third. I don't know what happened last time because he was up in close to a pace that was really kind of soft in that Risen Star, and he just didn't keep up. I was really disappointed with that effort. I don't know, maybe something happened. I have no idea. Have you watched this horse at all train, since that?
Yeah. No, I haven't. They've been keeping him at that training center that Cassie has. This is when you wish you could text the Cassie barn and just ask them, give me an excuse for that last race, because the only people who know if there was something legit is the people who saw him walk back the next morning.
Right.
Because like you said, it doesn't make any sense. If you draw a line through it, then you're looking at a completely different handicap.
Right.
Because he's always kind of right there. He's faced off some, in that Breeders' Cup, he's facing off against Baffert, so he's got natural tactical pace. It's that last race that you just have to decide whether or not you're willing to just ignore.
And you can look at if you look at where he sits on the plot, that just shows you like his second call superiority of these horses. Good. So again, these other horses have been getting softer paces, and so that's why they're the square, able to kick and re-break because they're running soft paces. Now he's obviously been races a little bit more pace, and he's kind of got an advantage there, right? So it's really, if you take that last race out, his plot would even look better than it is. So I don't know what to do with him. 10-1, I probably want closer to 15-1, my exotics for him. But you got a jockey that understands this track, Gulfstream. I don't know. So he's a hard read for me, but I could see why people might consider him, especially in the exotics, because he could just sit there and kind of like he could trip out and maybe finish second or third in this race.
Well, at the end of the day, I think we know as handicappers, sometimes the best way to land on a price is to ignore a race.
Yeah.
Because it changes the picture completely, which is what is true with Papa Cap. So
the other guy I thought, and I think you probably had some interest in this horse too, right? Captain. This horse, you kind of look at his first 2 races, was sprinting in Gulfstream, then the big layoff, and then they put him right into the fountain of youth. So they showed a lot of confidence in this horse. He was kind of against the race. That was the race that the 7-1, right? That we thought he got a perfect trip. And this guy was against the flow. And now oh no, I'm sorry, was that? No, he was in the Fountain of Youth. That was later. But he was against the flow, and you have a comment here, a projection of a stretch, Donald. What are you thinking there?
There was just a steadiness that I saw in that Limehouse race, a race that I thought was pretty strong. And there was a steady action. He just kind of maintained his tempo. And that always signals to me a horse that possibly could handle more ground. And then he followed it up with what I thought was a very honest effort in a race that, wasn't setting up for him at all. But he kept passing horses. He kept his action. And so more ground, the better for this kind of horse. I don't think this is his kind of track. Gulfstream doesn't allow for these horses to fall out of the picture to win. So I believe he would need something to happen with the Pletcher and the Lynch up front for him to be a win contender. But as far as the exotics, I think he's an absolutely must use because he's proven he'll pass horses, and now he gets more ground. So.
Cool. So he's a grinder, right? He's a grinder.
Yeah, that's what he seems right now. And listen, I mean, he's still, 3-race career. The amount of improvement in a horse like this is huge, just because of experience.
Sure.
You can get these all of a sudden green light stuff, or maybe he shows a little bit more pace just because of the experience. So it's one of the reasons I would have to use a horse like this in any exotic play.
Cool. And he's a big price. I think he's what, 15 to 1 or 20 to 1? Yeah, 20 to 1 in the morning line. And then I just still Sunshine. The only reason I kind of mentioned this horse is because his second last time, one of the horses that showed all that pace, because it was a fast pace, came back and won a nice stakes race, sprinting back at 7 furlongs with a big number. So he's another big price. Probably shouldn't be as big. And the other thing about him is he actually ran the distance, which only one other horse in this race did and didn't run well, right? So he was the only horse that really done the 9 furlongs. Again, more of a underneath kind of type if he can clunk up, in the tries and the supers. But just one of the horses I wouldn't toss. I don't have a high confidence, but I wouldn't toss him. That would really kind of that. So if we go back here, I would say that. So Donald, you based on this tier one, who are your preferences of those 5?
I think I would be keen the 6 and the 7.
Okay.
And then my underneath would be the 1 and the 9. And I would play around with those and maybe sprinkle the 5 in. I need to probably give it some more. I need to give it some more thought, but that's my initial kind of gut instinct. And of course the board is gonna kind of direct me in terms of my play anyways. I'm very price sensitive. So sometimes the way these races are played is surprising. So.
All right, so folks, what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to nail Donald down for odds on what his projected odds that he would take for all these horses, and we'll plug it in, and it'll be on Race of the Day with this video, so everyone can take a look at it, because I think that'll be a good guideline for everyone, once we get that. So, all right, well, I think that's a good assessment. Anything else on the card, Donald? It's a big day in Florida.
There's 14 races, and the only race I've looked at is this. It's this one.
This one gave me a headache. But it's actually a very good race, and I'm really curious the way it turns out.
No, it's a lot of fun. That's kind of what horse racing is all about, is when you get this contentious, big derby prep. So.
Yeah, cool. So it's all about the price, as Donald says. So anyway, that's it for us. Thanks for listening. Check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, check us out at opticseq.com. And thanks for your business, and thanks for listening.